Today, at the trial of accused synagogue mass shooter Robert Bowers, a SWAT officer testified about the gun battle he and Bowers engaged in, firing at each other in a dark room. KDKA-TV News reporter Andy Sheehan joins us live from outside the federal courthouse, where more witnesses took the stand today. Andy.
Well, Kim, this trial has been filled with acts of heroism, both by survivors and police officers. Today, SWAT officer Andrew Miller described the capture of the suspect. When the SWAT officers rushed into the room where the defendant had barricaded himself, they were met with a hail of bullets, immediately striking Officer Tim Matson, who fell to the ground. "I knew he had been shot several times," said fellow SWAT officer Andrew Miller. "With that amount of fire, there was no doubt he was seriously injured." Today in court, Miller testified he entered the room firing, though he could not see the defendant. That day, the room was pitch black and suddenly filled with dust and debris kicked up by dozens of rounds of gunfire. He could only see the muzzle flash of the defendant's rifle and began firing at it. Another officer, Michael Salduti, ran out of ammunition and began crawling out of the room, while other officers dragged the injured Matson out. But Miller testified he stayed and exchanged gunfire with the defendant, providing them cover, the bullets peppering the wall behind him. "He kept firing at me. I could feel the drywall behind me kicking up. He just kept missing me." Asked why he stayed in the room, Miller said, "That's what we do. That's what we train for. Those are my teammates." When Miller stepped out, the shooting stopped, and seeing Matson had a gunshot wound to the head, he joined others who carried the wounded officer down the stairs to medical attention. "I don't know how anyone could survive a wound like that," Miller said. When he returned upstairs, a second gunfight was ending, and a man he identified in court as Robert Bowers surrendered. He said he had to do it. "Jews are the children of Satan. They're murdering our children." Now, this trial is entering a very difficult phase for the jury and family members. The prosecution has begun showing and giving descriptions of the autopsies of each of the 11 victims. I'll talk about that coming up at 5 o'clock. For now, reporting live at the U.S. Courthouse downtown, Andy Sheehan, KDKA News.